So first and foremost, just tell me what the first, I guess, 5 days of camp, 4 days of camp have been like so far for you.
So much fun. I just think that, since there was a time where it didn't look too good for us, that we were kind of all taking it in and being extra grateful. So a lot of energy, a lot of fun.
And to follow up on that, you've been firm in your desire to play college football this year. You could have left after last season. You decided to return. You could have opted out once COVID hit and you lost two of your fellow defensive stars. But again, you chose to stay and play this season. Why?
For me personally, I don't think I could have been away from the game that long, especially if I did decide to opt out and I was watching like my brothers play a season that knowing I could have played in. And the people who I've talked with, I mean, Levi and Joe are my good friends. I've talked with them and they have their own reasons and it makes complete sense. But for me, I think I'm just obsessed.
Well, Husky fans are happy to hear that, I know. And the other thing you get to do by staying is help get Jimmy Lake's head coaching career off to a good start. You know Jimmy as well as anybody on this team. What has it been like from your perspective watching him transition into his new role as a first-year head coach? Is he different than he was as your position coach and D coordinator?
Not too much really. I mean, I think the transition has been almost effortless. I knew kind of what he would bring to the team, as far as like his competitiveness and his energy. But I think a lot of other players are now starting to kind of be like, okay, this is a real deal, and this is Coach Lake now. So it's been really fun to kind of see that transition. And like I said, it's been really effortless.
This has always been true, Elijah, but this year is obviously on another level. The success of the season hinges a lot on decisions that you guys make away from the field. And I know Coach Lake has been talking to you guys about this almost every day. What are the conversations, though, that you and your teammates are having amongst yourselves about that?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. Just because it's one thing when you hear something from the coaches, but then also someone on the team has to say it too, for it to hold more weight. And that's kind of where I've stepped in with the help of other leaders on the team, just to remind people kind of what the season means to us and what's at stake, and how we gotta protect each other by making good decisions. So, yeah.
And what does that look like on a day-to-day basis? I mean, is it hard? Are you just all in on football right now and focusing on what is hand, or is it difficult to kind of make those decisions every minute of the day?
I think it could be for a lot of people on the team, just because you get on the college scene and you want to have a social life, and now that's taken away from us. But that's our responsibility now. We're supposed to deal with that. For some people, it's easy. For me, it's pretty easy just because I go home, take care of business, and then come here to work. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a challenge, not just for our team, but for every team in the nation.
You mentioned something in your previous answer that I want to go back to, and that's the fact that you are a big time leader on this team. And every year it feels like we're talking about the Husky secondary as one of the strongest position groups in the league. As the leader of that group now, what is it like?
A little different, yeah, especially with Miles Bryant gone, because he was kind of that leader. But with KT and myself kind of stepping into that leadership role, it's a lot of fun just because I get to pass down the information that I learned from numerous coaches over the years, or from Coach Lake and now Coach Harris and Coach TB. But it's really fun to watch a freshman come in, with their eyes wide and their brains moving really fast, and to kind of, go next to them, put your hand on your shoulder and say, you're doing a lot better than I was. So I've enjoyed the process.
I love that. Can you give us a scouting report of your fellow DBs? Can you kind of run us down the list? Because you guys are talented and you're deep too.
We got so many. I mean, I'm definitely gonna forget a couple. Just the freshmen: Jacoby, James, Kaysen. We got Mekhi. I'm already forgetting. We have like over 23 DBs total. So I mean, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
What's this particular group like then as a whole compared to, groups you've been a part of in the past?
I think we're pretty young overall, and that's also with the whole team too. But in our position group, we're pretty young, and I'd probably say more so than the past, each player knows more positions than just one position. which is pretty rare because that means that we're able to digest the defense completely as opposed to just knowing where you're supposed to be at one spot. But once when you know the defense at multiple positions, and that's when you can start piecing things together. And there's a lot of people on the team or in the room who are able to do that.
You mentioned the overall youth of the team. Obviously, on the offensive side of the ball, you guys have a lot to replace. People especially curious to see how the quarterback battle will play out. I'm not going to ask you to predict anything, but from what you've seen, being around it in practice, is there any insight you can give us on how the offense is looking?
Offense is looking good. I think it's really fun to go against Coach Donovan, his new offensive scheme, just because as a defense, when we were practicing, we go against them every day. And now it's something new to prepare for. But the quarterback battle is going, it's very competitive. And all three of those guys are getting better every day. So I think it's something that, it's going to play out. And, I think Coach Lake mentioned, it may be a situation where multiple people are playing. So, yeah.
Elijah, I know so many people are working behind the scenes to keep you guys safe and make this season happen. Equipment managers come to mind when I think about sort of the unsung heroes of every athletic department right now. Is there anything or anyone, I should say, that you want to give a shout out or give love to that maybe doesn't get enough attention for what they're doing behind the scenes?
Yeah, for sure. Bart and Jacob Crane are equipment guys. I think, even before this year, they're kind of like the unsung heroes, like you said, behind the scenes, making sure, without them, we don't practice. So yeah, those two for sure.
Awesome. All right. Last thing for me, and then we'll open up to the rest of the media for questions. How have you personally grown over the last 6 months, would you say?
That's a good question. I think I matured a lot just because I've spent more time with myself. We're all quarantined, so we kind of have to. And really, I became more of a patient person in my position. Between opting out, staying, it would change every day, it felt like. So I really learned patience.
Well, we are excited to see you in Husky uniform, and best of luck November 7th in Berkeley. We'll be watching, and I'll turn it back over to Jesse for media questions. Thanks, Elijah.
Thank you, Ashley.
And as a reminder, any media have questions, go ahead and use the raise hand function to get into the queue. We'll go to our first question from Lars Hansen.
Hey, Elijah. How's it going, man?
Good. How are you, Lars?
Good. So I know you're not going to tip your hand about the quarterback competition, but talk about maybe what makes each one of them different. What kind of is challenging to go against them as a cornerback?
That's really tough to answer just because when I'm in there, when I'm in there, I'm playing. I'm not breaking down the quarterback strengths or whatnot, just because I'm not watching film on my opponent. And right now my opponent is the offense. If they were on a different team and I was preparing for a game, then I'd be able to give you an answer. But they're all different sizes and they have different attributes for sure. But I think one thing they all share is their competitiveness. Like they all want the spot. You can see that clear as day.
And then talk about the freshman receivers. What makes them stand out to you, and what has impressed them? What has made them impressive so far?
I think credit to Coach June Adams. They're a really smart group. Like they're breaking down everything about the position. That's what it seems like. Just because they're getting really crafty about how to attack our defense and in what situations and then what techniques to use. So I think that's a credit to Coach June.
And then my last question, I think I saw you getting a chance to work out with your dad, run some routes against him this offseason. Just what was that like to have that extra family time this summer?
It was great. Yeah, I think it was a blessing in disguise, really, just to have really like almost a month and a half at home. That's something that, I never got before this. I never ever dreamt I would get, spending time with some of my siblings that, when I came to college, my youngest sibling didn't really remember a whole lot of me being at the house. He was, 3 years old at the time, but now he's 6 years old now. I can go back home and make some memories with him. So it was really special.
That's awesome, man. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
As a reminder, if any media have questions, please use the raise hand function. Our next question will come from Kelsey Eckberg of Cronkite PBS.
Hey, Elijah, thank you so much for your time. With this crazy year we've been having, you've actually got an opportunity to be a viewer on College Football Saturday and gotten a chance to watch teams you could potentially see later on this season. And of course, if Coach Lake has anything to say about it, you'll definitely meet some of them later on this season and crush what he calls East Coast bias. So what's it been like to watch? What have you noticed? And have you learned anything from this late start?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's been tough for me to watch from home just because, it seems like we're missing out a little bit. Of course, we will have a season. We just have to wait a couple more weeks. But I've learned probably that there's been a lot of upsets recently, more so than the past. And I think that's just because of the environment with COVID. COVID's kind of the great equalizer. And the teams that are able to manage it have a much better chance at beating a team that might, be more talented than them. So what we can take away from that is just, on a day-to-day basis, making sure we're doing those precautions, those COVID precautions to the best of our ability.
Excellent. Thanks so much.
Okay, our next question will come from Rusty Simmons of the San Francisco Chronicle.
Hey, Elijah, I know we're still two and a half weeks out, but
Sorry, let me get Rusty back. Let's try that again.
hey, Elijah, I know we're still two and a half weeks out. Wanted to see if you had any early impressions of Cal's offense, and especially Cal's quarterback, Chase Garbers.
To be honest, I'm more worried about, not worried, but I'm focused on just our team at the moment. We have a lot of weeks until we play them, so I'll probably dive into some tape once we get closer.
The other thing I was going to ask you is about a parents' petition coming out of Southern California. People just wanting to be in stadiums to get to watch you play, family members. Mm-hmm. Any thoughts on that and kind of what that would mean to have some family in the stadium with you?
Yeah, that's something my mom is really passionate about. She really is wanting to be able to come to my games. And I would, obviously I would love to have her. I'm not sure how that would go with the testing, but if it's able to work out, then great. And if not, then, it's unfortunate, but we got to deal with it.
Thanks, Elijah.
Thank you.
As a reminder, if any media have questions, please use the raise hand function. And our next question will come from RJ Badia.
Hey, Elijah, there's been a push over this past summer and the past few months for college athletes and football players specifically to have a union or an association that kind of acts like a union. Do you consider that a necessity for you guys? And if you do, what are the reasons why in your mind?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think that's something that college football definitely needs. And with the We Are United, I think we were trying to kind of push the discussion for that. And then kind of the season happened. So it kind of got lost in the mix. But after the season, I think that's something that, representatives for each conference should come together and really discuss this and the possibilities of implementing that really as soon as possible, just because, there's a lot of our voices need to be heard. There's a lot of situations where, what we're going through may be different than what the higher ups are going through. So, yeah.
And then just a quick follow-up. Could you just give us a glimpse as a player into something that we as the media or we as fans might not even think about that you guys have to deal with, that like a union or being collectively assembled could help?
Are you talking about like COVID right now, or can you elaborate a little more?
Just actually more the general player experience, just under normal times, why would a union or an association be helpful for you as a player?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think a lot of people don't really understand that especially as a football player, you don't have any type of social life. Or if you do, then you have to compromise a little bit of football for that. And that's something I'm not willing to do. It's either school or football. And then every once in a while you can maybe sneak in, hanging out with friends or going to do this, go to do that. But I mean, especially now more than ever, it's just football and school. And I think it's tough for a lot of people, and it has its challenges. For me, it's still rewarding in the end, but I think it could be, tough on someone's, mental health for sure.
Okay, our next question will come from Dennis Dodd.
Hey, Elijah, point of order here. Were you part of the We Are United hierarchy? I don't remember.
I was not. I supported them, and I agree with a lot of their statements, but then there are some that I didn't agree with. So
Okay.
I supported the sentiment for sure.
Dovetailing off that, I'm sure you saw the letter from the USC athletes last month, which apparently now it had carried a lot of weight in getting the Pac-12 back to football. I wondered what you thought about that and the power of the player, I guess.
Yeah. To be honest, I haven't thought too much about it. I think that's something that, like you said, it did kind of push some things forward in terms of us getting to have a season. So, I guess I'm grateful for them, taking a course of action.